Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel, or to my channel. My name is Ivy. We are going to be doing our reset for February. I have been chomping at the bit to film this video. I'm so excited to film it. Today is January 31st. It's a Saturday, and we are going to be really reflecting and resetting and just refreshing our life for the upcoming month. If you are new here, like I said, my name is Ivy. I'm 24. I'm in my third trimester with me and my husband's first baby, which is so exciting. We have I think this house is around like 120 years old. So we do a lot of home renovations around here, lots of DIYs. I do a lot of cleaning. I'm in nesting mode. I think I've been in nesting mode since week 20. I'm not even kidding. Maybe even a little bit before that. We do a lot of nesting around here. And then I also just graduated from nursing school in December and start a new grad nursing job in the summer. So lots going on around here. If any of that interests you, I would love for you to stick around. I am a bit of a yapper, so I would highly recommend grabbing a snack and a drink. I currently have a caramel latte. This is delicious. I got it's called like Too Sweet or Sweet on You or something latte from Dunkin' yesterday because I wanted to get donuts for our book club. And if I get like a specialty drink, I pretty much only go to Dunkin' if they have a specialty drink that I want to try. I'm just not a Dunkin' girly, but I do like to try it. So I don't get modifications if I think I'll like it, because I feel like it's not fair to judge a specialty drink if I'm modifying it to how I think I'll like it and then I don't like it. It's coconut and caramel and it was delicious. I didn't have anything that I could make it coconut with, but I did have some caramel. So that is amazing. I literally, I wish it wasn't as good as what it is because it's probably so many calories. And then I also have a chocolate cake donut. Like I said, I got donuts for our book club, so I'm having one of those. So get a snack, get a drink, whatever you need, and we are going to be resetting. This is my first reset, so let me know what you like about it, what you don't like about it. If you want more of something, if you want less of something, I am gonna have timestamps. So if you just want like the finance reset, the cleaning reset, the house reset, like the book reset, just skip around, come back, do whatever you want. I thought we would start by going over January and some wins for January. So I have my planner and I have my little notebook. I actually love this planner. Let me open it to a blank month. I got this from Walmart and it's like very plain, which I really like a plain planner. I like it when they don't just like take up a lot of, I don't know. I just like a plain planner. They're all completely empty. So if you kind of fall off and don't plan for a little bit, you don't waste that part of the planner. You can just jump back into the next month. The first page opens and it has your goals, your to-dos, focuses for your month, important dates. Then you have your layout for the month. And then you have 5 weeks in case it's a longer month, where every day you have its own section. You have notes for that section. You have a to-do list for the week. And then the last page is a note page. So this is the planner that I'm using this year. I absolutely love it. I think that it's working really well for me. I don't think that this would have worked for me in school. Being at home and my to-dos and my priorities being more surrounded by health and pregnancy and homemaking and getting stuff done for my job. I feel like this planner is really good for that. So I, at the beginning of the month, wrote in the little to-do part of the planner everything that I wanted to do, and I actually did check a lot of this off. I want to start at the end, during these resets, going through my to-do list for the month, and whatever I don't check off. I feel like a lot of people do this. I'm sure a lot of you guys do it. You have that list of outstanding things that you need to do that are not going to take you that long, but they, for whatever reason, feel so mentally taxing. You put them off, put them off, and put them off. So I want to also add to the reset finishing these things. However, the 2 things that I have left, I don't think I can do because it's Saturday. The one is call the pediatrician and the other one is get my car inspected. And I technically could do that today. It's Saturday. I know there's probably places I could call in and do it, but my brother does it for me and he can't do it today. So those are just gonna have to go to next week, and that's fine. If those are the only 2 things that I don't get off on my to-do list for the month, that is fine. And then everything else on the to-do list I got done. That is really great. And I wanted to go over our January wins and a little reflection on January. I will say, you guys, if you don't like, I feel like a ton of people do social media, like a ton of people do YouTube for fun or TikTok for fun. I think one of the things that's so great about that, and if you don't do it for fun, I think you should start taking pictures of before and after, like literally every project you do. I was editing a video the other day that I filmed in January, and seeing how different my kitchen looked in that video versus now. But I have been really down on myself this past week because, not that I've fallen off of it, but I was doing so much that I just like needed some time to rest. And I also, like, every week I'm getting more and more pregnant, so I'm getting less and less efficient. And I was just getting really down on myself and like telling Logan, like, I'm not doing enough. I'm never gonna get all this stuff done. Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, you fall into that all or nothing mindset. And then I was editing this video and saw this state of my kitchen at the beginning of the month versus now. And I highly recommend, like, it's very easy for me to see it if I'm filming, but if you like don't do TikTok or don't do anything like that, I highly recommend taking before and after pictures of literally every single project you do. Even if it's something as simple as like your laundry got piled up over the week because you had a busy week, taking a picture of how bad it was before and then taking a picture when it was done. Because I feel like you forget all of the things that you have accomplished, and like cleaning out your entire kitchen or getting loads and loads of laundry done is an accomplishment, and you like forget that you did it. And then you do reflections like this and you were like, oh, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, or I didn't do like everything that I wanted to, but you forget like all of the things that you actually did do. That can kind of lead into our first January win, which was starting our kitchen. I have a kitchen update in my most recent vlog that should have gone up before this one. I am so excited that we started our kitchen. We have really done so much work to this house and put so much work into this house. However, home renovations are very expensive. Kitchen and bathroom renovations, I would say, are extremely expensive. We either did like little facelifts for them or just kind of left them. The kitchen, however, we started and then kind of had to stop because we like what happens with an old home, you start it and you don't realize what's under what you're ripping up, and like it throws off your plans, and we just didn't have the capacity to do it when we started demoing it, I guess. So we're doing wainscoting on all of the walls, and we're doing the floors. We're laying new flooring, which I'm so excited about, and that got started in January. Hopefully it will get finished in February. I'm so excited for it to be done. The house looks already so much cleaner, and I know that when it's done, it's like, I'm so excited because it's literally going to feel like I have a brand new kitchen. Like, I can't even describe how excited I am, like, to see it. And then another goal that I had for January was study for my NCLEX every day and pass my NCLEX. Obviously that's the goal. And I took my NCLEX in January and I did pass, and that is just like, I need to like relish in that more than what I did, because it is such a huge accomplishment and it is such a weight off of my shoulders that like February I don't have to think about the NCLEX once. I also did so much nursery prep this month. One thing that we got done that I'm so happy we got done before our shower was we actually took my husband's dresser and are using that for the baby, and he ended up getting a new dresser just because I had such a hard time finding a dresser that I liked as much as my husband's. And I'm actually really happy with the dresser that he got. I'll link it. It's from Amazon. It was really affordable. If you take your time to put it together, it's honestly such good quality for the price and the fact that it's from Amazon. But I'm so glad we got the dresser in there. I've started laundry for the nursery. I've started getting a lot of the stuff together. And then we also are like all but done with prep for the baby shower. Our baby shower is next weekend, which is crazy. So this week I'll be doing a lot of prep for that. I feel like we have everything kind of planned out. It's just like actually like doing it. Like obviously like we can't do the flowers yet or like make the food yet. I'm just so excited that I have those things done, and really, really happy that we accomplished those 4 things. And then the one thing that I didn't do in January that I think was a little bit too ambitious was going to the gym to walk and stretch every day. This is something that I really truly need to implement, just being at this point in my pregnancy and it being so cold outside. I'm not going for walks outside, and I can tell that I have been getting a little bit more uncomfortable, and I know stretching would help me immensely. But I just think with the amount of stuff I was doing to the house and how much I was studying for my NCLEX, I don't know how I thought I was going to make that a priority. Hello. He's obsessed. I'm really going into this with very low expectations for myself. My goal is to really just get there and start. If I do 5 minutes of walking and 5 minutes of stretching, that is enough for me. I literally have no expectations for myself. I just want to implement the habit. I know it will help me immensely in the labor and postpartum days, so I really want to implement that. And then another thing that is a big goal for me for February is a night or a daily house reset. I have been 100% inspired by, I think her name is Janine. This is the problem with TikTok, is like people don't like say their name at the beginning of every video. So I feel like you can watch someone for months and be like, do I even know what their username is or what their name is? But she is literally so inspiring. She's the sole income provider for her family. I think they have 5 kids. They have like a ton of rescue cats and they have 5 dogs. And she does reset routines. And that's what she posts on TikTok. If you don't follow her, you should definitely follow her. She's so inspiring. And she really is an influencer that like I feel so good supporting. She does so much for her community. I have been fully inspired by her to kind of implement this daily house reset, and I will give myself, like, I have improved drastically from trying to do that in December versus trying to do that in January, but I still want to improve from January to February. I think I might try maybe just like the first week of February to do the reset in the morning. I know for a lot of people that doesn't really make sense, but I just feel like in the morning I'm really motivated, I have a ton of energy, and that's when I can like cut a lot of tasks. And then by the time I get to the evening, I have a really hard time pushing through. As much as I would love to like wake up to a clean house every day and go to bed with a clean home, I just don't know if like that works for me, and I feel like that's okay. Like that doesn't mean like I don't have a clean house if it's clean in the morning. You know what I mean? I definitely want to implement that. I guess 2 of the other things that I didn't finish in January were the 2 books that I was reading for birth and nursing. I did not finish either of those. If I do finish them, I would love to get into these 2 books in February. The breastfeeding book, I feel like I will be able to kind of knock out pretty quickly because it's more of like a resource book, and it would be my second book on breastfeeding, so I feel like I can just like kind of flip through it. But the birthing book, I've heard like nothing but good things about it, so I do really want to take my time with that, or maybe I'll like listen to the audiobook or something. Another thing that I would love to get done in February is painting the trim in our nursery. When we redid our upstairs, we had to rip out like half of the trim, and then obviously to like redo our walls because our walls needed redone. But the actual like window trim was still in really great shape, but it's like a very 70s color. So our trim does not match, and it definitely needs painted. But painting, you guys, me and painting, I love painting because it's something that is readily accessible. Most people can do it on their own, and it's not that expensive, and it can really elevate a space. But I also hate it because I have literally, I feel like I'm painting all the time, and I did a lot of painting in January, and I just like, I need to mentally prepare to do some more painting in February. And then my other big goal for February, since we are having our baby shower, is organizing and finding homes for everything that we get from our baby shower. One thing I've really been doing since I found out I was pregnant is trying to declutter our house. I am an accumulator, unfortunately. I love to thrift. I love finding things. Like it brings me a ton of joy, and it's just very easy to accumulate. And just thinking about the amount of things that we will receive at our baby shower and the amount of things that we will buy for our baby just like does kind of overwhelm me. So I want to make sure that I really find homes for things and we're not just like setting things everywhere. And then I also want to make sure that we have like a good running list of anything that we still need to purchase before we have the baby or like soon after we have the baby, anything that I want for postpartum, things like that. So those are all of our goals for February. So why don't we move on and we can do what I read in January and then kind of like what's on my radar for February. I will have my Fable link down below. I have my Goodreads link down below too. I'm not super active on Goodreads, if I'm being honest. So I read 9 books in January. 7 of them were on my physical TBR and then 2 were library books. And I pretty much tandem read most of them with audio, even if it was just for a chapter or 2. I absolutely love audiobooks. If audiobooks isn't reading to you, this is not the place for you. I am such an audiobook girly. So let's go through my physical ones first. You guys know reducing my physical TBR is like the #1 goal of the year. I mention it in like every video. So with these books off of my physical TBR, we have reduced my TBR by 30 so far this year. We did a big unhaul at the beginning of the year, and then we DNF'd a couple, or I counted them as DNFs because I unhauled them and I've started them multiple times, and then we read these 7. So the first 3 books that I read is the Immortal Instruments first trilogy, the first 3 books in this series. City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass. I had already read, or I guess technically this wasn't on my physical TBR. I think I counted it anyway on accident. I had already read this entire book and half of this one and then never continued it. And then I ended up reading all of these 3 this month. These audiobooks, I don't know how they're like 15 hours long. I was listening to them to you guys within the matter of 2 days. Like, I was addicted to them. And I also love these old covers. I think they're so iconic. Obviously, the beginning of the year for everyone started with the Stranger Things finale. So I was in my Jamie Campbell Bowers obsession, and this helped me so much. Honestly, that's why I started reading these again, because him and Lily Collins, that movie is rough, but they are the perfect cast for Clary and Jace. This follows our main character, Clary. She is just a regular Joe Schmo, and her mom ends up going missing the day after she like sees all of these people that no one else can see. And she basically gets thrown into this life to find her mom with these people who are called shadow hunters. And basically they're demon hunters, and somehow like she's connected to this world because she can see them, and like her mom was taken but she doesn't know how. We follow Clary, and then Jace is our other main character. There is a very controversial thing that is very prominent in these 3 books. Most people know what it is. I'm not going to tell you what it is just in case you want to read them and you somehow have not been spoiled. It is weird. It is so weird. And some of the parts I was literally like, ugh. But I knew like from the very beginning that what the outcome was. I didn't know how the outcome happened, but I knew what the outcome was. So I feel like I could get past it. I will say though, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just brace yourself because there is some interesting things that happen in this book. I also think I decided that I'm going to do the 4 trilogies series order. I will link the video down below that I watched to pick my reading order. But that is how I have decided to read it. Overall, I had such a good time with these. These are my guilty pleasure. These are my Zodiac Academy. I don't care that they're trash. I love them. The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This was one that I was like, if you do not read this, girl, you need to get rid of it, because I have tried to read it multiple times. This follows like 9 people. They're a friendship group from college and they're partners, and they always spend New Year's together. They always go on some type of trip. So they end up going to this like remote-ish, Scottish, really nice cabin. At the beginning of the book, we know that after New Year's Day, they find a body, but we don't know who it is. We don't know how that happens. We don't know how we get from point A to point B. It took me a long time to get into this. I was so close to DNFing it, and then around like 40%, I actually got really invested and ended up binging the rest of it. So I got through it pretty quickly once I got into it. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know if I'm not a thriller person, but I just don't think it was like worth the time. The plot twist was just fine. I just feel like thrillers are so hard to make unique That's what I kind of like about like First Lie Wins. Even though that wasn't my favorite thriller in the world, it was so different than any other thriller I had ever read. I really want to read Best Offer Wins because I feel like that has a very unique premise. Like, it wasn't the best book I ever read. It wasn't the worst book I ever read. I genuinely don't think I will ever think about this book ever again. And I think I'm honestly gonna unhaul it. Then I read Everything. I read A Sun Is Also a Star. I read it a long time ago and I actually really liked it. I love a good YA book that I know is like a great book for a teenager to read, and I feel like that's how The Sun Is Also a Star is. It's just like, it's a very unique writing style. You get a lot of different perspectives, but she does such a good job of like making them all worth your time and important. And I just overall feel like it has a lot of good life lessons. This book is very much like 2013-esque. Following this girl, I forget her name, Maddie maybe, and she has this rare disease where she's basically, I wouldn't say she's like allergic to everything. It's more like she has such a weakened immune system, basically no immune system at all, that anything could be a trigger. So like going outside, going to school, eating, she really has to limit pretty much everything. It could trigger like a really big illness. And we start, and Maddie like literally doesn't leave her house. She has a nurse full time, and she watches this boy from across the street move in, and they start emailing each other, and our story kind of ensues. I don't think that this felt as like life lesson-y, which maybe people don't like YA books like that. Like maybe that's feels like preachy. I personally do. I don't think it had as many like important life lessons or themes that A Sun Is Also Started. I also just felt like her books are kind of not like fantastical, because they technically could happen, but they're not the most realistic. This book I found to be a lot less realistic. I also knew what, I don't know if you were supposed to know what was happening the entire book, but I knew from literally chapter 1 what happened at the end of the book was going to happen. Like, I knew that from the very beginning. Like, I knew that was going to happen. I also think I might unhaul this, which makes me sad because I love how well these two books look together. Like, their spines look so pretty together and their covers look so pretty together. But I do think I want to keep this one because I did really like it. I just like, and I like this cover, so I like, it makes me sad to get rid of it, but I'm never gonna think about it again. I'm never gonna read it again, and I'm probably never gonna like give it to a friend and be like, oh, I think you should read this. So I feel like I should also unhaul this. Then I read After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. We basically start out, she's married, her and her husband are having a lot of issues, and they decide to take a break for a year, go no contact, live separate lives, and then kind of come back together at the end of the year and see if they want to try to work this out or not. This was probably my least favorite book by her, next to Atmosphere. I just personally did not relate to the way that this couple handled their problems. And I think if it's something that you would not do and your partner wouldn't do, it's very hard to understand why they're doing it. I just don't think it's the most effective way to handle having serious problems. I did love the family dynamics in this. I thought the family dynamics were impeccable. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Taylor Jenkins Reid does such a good job at writing friendships and a lot of like a huge cast of characters and family relationship. I don't love her romantic relationship writing. I also just think I would have liked it more to like actually see them work through their problems, which we did not see. Like, we did not see them work through a single problem and fully flesh out a singular issue, which I just didn't love. It definitely was not my favorite by her, unfortunately. And I probably wouldn't recommend it. I just think she has a lot better ones out there. This book I actually just finished yesterday. This was my in-person book club's book of the month for January. This is following 3 characters, Tova, Cameron, and Marcellus. Tova is an elderly lady who basically has no family left. Her son passed away when he was 18. Her husband passed away from cancer. She has no like living siblings or parents, and she works at this aquarium where we meet our second character, Marcellus, who is a giant Pacific octopus. And then Cameron is kind of, he's like a new person in the town. Tova kind of like takes him under her wing. I would have loved this book if it was just Tova and Marcellus. I loved Marcellus. Marcellus and Tova's relationship was so heartwarming. The last couple of POVs that we have of Marcellus are just impeccable. However, I went into this book thinking that it was just Tova and Marcellus. I had no idea Cameron was a character. I had no idea that 50% of our book was going to be following a 30-year-old man. And I really disliked Cameron. A big part of his character and his growth throughout the story is being self-sabotaging, not being mature, not making the best decisions. And I just have a hard time reading that sometimes, or feeling a ton of empathy for people who act that way, who are adults. Like, it would have been different if we were reading about a 22-year-old. And I know 30 is not that old, especially, no offense, but for a man. He was just so insufferable. He made everything everybody's problem. He never took accountability for anything. I just found his parts to be so hard to get through. I just wish we would have had more Tova and more Marcellus and a lot less Cameron. But overall, I do think that this is a heartwarming book. It's a quick read. Every single person in my book club, we all liked it, but we all said the same thing. Like, it's not going to change your life, but it's an enjoyable read. So if you just want something that's like heartwarming, cozy, quick, I think this is like 350 pages. I would recommend it, but I think go into it with realistic expectations that it's not going to change your life. And then the two books that I read from my library this month, Dandelion is Dead. This is a new release. I think it came out this January. It's a debut novel, and we are following our main character, Poppy. We start out and she's really struggling. Her older sister passed away like less than a year ago, and she's just having a really hard time, as you do, like with coping. I think she's late 30s and her sister passed away when she was 40, or right before her 40th birthday. She was very young. It was not a life that she thought she was going to have to live. She didn't think she would be living out her late 30s, early 40s, the second half of her life without her sister. So we start out and she's just struggling. I forget how it happens, but she somehow breaks her phone, ends up just using her sister's phone as a replacement. She ends up going through her sister's life on her phone, specifically her dating apps, and messages someone from her sister's account on the dating app. Basically realizes that she's messaging them as Dandelion, starts a relationship with this man as Dandelion, and we kind of follow these two characters throughout the rest of the year, and just kind of them working through their struggles, them kind of working through like their relationship with each other. I don't know how I feel about this book. I really had a hard time like deciding if I liked it or not. I do think I liked it, and I did want to keep reading. Like, I wanted to know what was going to happen, and I wanted to keep reading. I wanted to know what was going to happen. I had the same beef with this book that I had with Cameron, is they are both quite old. Not quite old. Obviously 40 is not old. I think our main character, Jake, is 40 and she is 38, or he's like 42 and she's 38, something like that. Late 30s, early 40s. There are some scenes where they are literally acting like they're 22. I will say, I think that this book did a better job, at least for me, at really showing why they were acting that way, that they just did not have like the tools to cope with what they had gone through previously in their lives. Overall, I think if the premise sounds interesting to you, I would give it a go. I don't think it's going to change your life. Maybe it will, but I do think it's an interesting concept, and it was an enjoyable time. And then I also read Once There Were Wolves. This is by the same author as Wild Dark Shore, which is literally on everyone's list for best books of 2025. But my wait at the library time, of course, is 300 years long. And I actually heard that her backlist is just as good, if not better. I read the description for this one, thought it sounded really interesting. We're following this girl, and she is like a wolf biologist, I think it would be called. We're following her as her and her team are trying to reintroduce wolves into Scottish forest to help with their vegetation there, because their deer population is just way too big. We see a lot at the beginning of why maybe the people who don't live in the town are not super happy about why the wolves are there. She has a twin sister. We don't really know a lot about her. She's very mysterious. And we end up kind of falling into this like mystery plot about halfway through the book. So I don't really want to tell you what the mystery is because it doesn't happen for quite some time. I actually really liked the first like 80% of this book, if not like 90%. Again, wasn't the best book I ever read. It wasn't life-changing, but I did really enjoy it. I felt like it was a unique mesh of genres, and I loved the wolf aspect of the book. We got to the end. I kid you not, guys, this was one of those books that the last 50 pages like brought down my rating a whole star. It's like all of a sudden our main character just like has no idea what's going on, and even though she is so intelligent and so smart, she like all of a sudden is acting like an idiot at the end. And I was reading it and I'm like, girl, like how do you know, like you are so smart, like you're smarter than this, what are we doing? And then there's also a birth scene in this book right at the end where I was literally, it was giving like The Women by Kristen Hanna, where there's like 4 car accidents within 100 pages and 2 people come back from the dead. Like it was just giving so wildly unrealistic. I was like, oh my god, like it was just so hard to read. I think it's solidified that I'm not going to read Wild Dark Shore unless I see a significant amount of people who loved that read this and have a similar consensus that I did. I am glad that I read a book by this author because she does explore so many genres, and it was a book like no other book I've read before. And I definitely, like, if you have any books that are fiction that have a big plot point surrounding something like that, like how there was a lot about wolves in this book, or how Remarkably Bright Creatures, we have a lot about octopuses, or about an octopus, I don't know the plural, or like how Carrie Soto's back, there's so much about tennis. I love fiction books like that. So if you have fiction books that fall into kind of like that realm of things, please give me your recommendations. Okay guys, now that we have gone through all of our January reads, I thought we would quickly go through what is kind of on my radar for February. I have quite a few books on my radar. I don't think we're gonna get to all of them, probably not even half of them, but they're still on my radar. I thought I would let you know. The only book I really wanted to get to in January, other than the nonfiction that we already talked about, was Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. This is literally a 5-star prediction for me, so I don't know why I like have not started it yet. And it's a library book, so like I'm on a time limit. So why I'm doing this, I don't know. I did the exact same thing with Divine Rivals. I like could not start it. And then my sister was like, girl, like you were going to eat this book up. And I did, she was right. So why I have not started it, I do not know. But Wild Reverence is right up there. These are really in like no order. They're just kind of all over the place. I have been wildly in the mood for an Ali Hazelwood book, and while I'm not the biggest spice girly, and I know that this is like erotica for Ali Hazelwood, I think that the February feels is making me want to read a pink book, and I would love to read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Obviously, like this goes without saying, I would honestly love to get to this entire trilogy this month, and these are books that I fear I will have no problem getting to. I'm so excited to read these. If you don't know anything about the Shadowhunters world, this is by far the fan favorite series. Every single person that reads this series says that these are by far the best ones. And it's like old time London. I just feel like the vibes are going to be good. I feel like the romance is going to be amazing. I've heard that once you read those, you get like hints of them in the Mortal Instruments books, which because you couldn't tell me anything better. The 7-Year Slip, this doesn't like, I'm not like itching to read this, but I do have the audiobook from my library, so it is something that I feel like I should read. Again, I feel like I'm gonna love this. Why I haven't started it, I don't know. This book I really want to get to. This is what I went to my library for the other day. This is The Girls Who Grew Big. I saw this book floating around when it came out, and I never knew what it was about, never really like had any interest in it. I do think the cover's kind of iconic though, especially being pregnant, like the cover's iconic. Rachel Catherine read this in one of her recent videos, and just everything she said about it sounded like it was gonna be right up my alley. So I definitely want to get to this month. Talked about it in
the next video that I think is going to come out, which is my read it or unhaul it, where we go through the books in my collection that I am going to unhaul if I don't read by July. And this is one of the ones that I mentioned, but a common theme throughout that video is I keep saying I don't think I'm a thriller girly. So this is like my dedicated thriller for the month that I either need to read or I need to DNF and get rid of, because it has just been on my TBR for so long. And like the vibes, the snowy vibes do seem immaculate. That was one thing I did want to say about the hunting party, is whenever the entire East Coast got that huge snowstorm, I wish I would have read The Hunting Party then, because I will say the atmosphere aspect of that book was 5 out of 5, like 10 out of 10, amazing. It was such a good snowy atmosphere. It would have been a great snowed in read, especially since it was so quick. So if you love atmospheric books, I do think you would like that. But I do feel like I need to read this while it's still cold. Then I also have The Names by Florence Knapp. This is one of the books that I did let myself buy this year, even though I'm trying to reduce my physical TBR. I really, really want to read this. I think I'm really going to enjoy it. And I also just love reading a book that, like, I have never read anything like this. And then these, I think I'll probably get to like one of them, but they're all kind of on my radar. And that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Look at this edition that I have. Isn't it so cute? Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This I also think is like wintry vibes. And then As Long as the Lemon Trees. But I definitely want to get to one of these in February at least. I feel like these are also all books that I think I am going to rate fairly highly. Let me know what you guys are interested in reading for February. Those are all kind of what's on my radar. I'm sure I will probably mood read, pick up different things, pick up other things, and I absolutely can tell you every book I just went through, I won't be getting to all of them.
I wanted to show you some of the stuff that I deep clean or try to deep clean once a month. We obviously did my floors, which I should be doing more than once a month, but at least if I do them, oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. At least if I do them at the end of the month or at the beginning of the month, they're at least getting done then. The other thing is my vacuum. Let me find a place to set you. Okay, I think this is good. The other thing is my vacuum. I have the Shark Rocket vacuum. I don't know. I've had it for a long time. Not a long time. I think I've had it since like 2021. This thing honestly works really well. However, you are supposed to clean it, and I did not used to clean it, and it would lose suction a lot, and then I would spend so much time trying to clean it. So now I'm just trying to get in the habit of cleaning it all the time. I don't like clean this thing spotless because I don't know. I don't see the point in doing that. But the front of it has these little filters, and it says right on that you should be cleaning them every month, or at least like dusting, like smacking off the loose dust. So this was actually disgusting, and I just washed it. You can get replacements for these, but I'm honestly shocked at how nice that it washed up. This was also disgusting, and I just washed that up. I know that they sell like replacement parts for this and stuff, but I think I'm just gonna keep washing them as long as they wash up nice and don't disintegrate. And then the other thing that I try to do is deep clean my appliances. So even if I like don't deep clean them, just making sure that like they're getting clean, because like my microwave and my toaster oven, I feel like I actually have a really good habit of keeping those clean just on the daily. I want to get into the habit where every time I use my stove, I take out the burners and wipe them off. But at least if I'm not doing that, I know at the beginning of every month, they're getting deep cleaned. So I actually did that a couple of days ago just because I was like, I had the itch. And then our garbage disposal, our dishwasher, and our washing machine. So I'm going to show you the products that I used for that. I actually just got these to try, so I will let you know in my next monthly reset how I like them. This is just a Cascade Platinum dishwasher cleaner. You just run it in an empty dishwasher. Our dishwasher like says to use Cascade, which is what we ended up using, but I feel like since it says to use Cascade, that's what I'm going to use. And then I also have this garbage disposal cleaner. This is quite expensive though. These are like $1 a pod. These are honestly all kind of pricey. So I will say that I do clean my garbage disposal pretty regularly with either like baking soda, vinegar, lemon juice. Like if I have extra lemons or limes or oranges, something like that, I will throw them in and run them. That helps keep the garbage disposal at least like odor free. I think this is actually like a cleaner. Literally, I started talking. My dog's laying right behind me. He groaned the second I opened my mouth. He was like, girl, can you shut up already? I also thought it would be fun to do a little media recap of the month. I've seen other people do this in either book wrap-ups or monthly wrap-ups, and I do think that they're so fun, and they honestly have given me like so many good recommendations for like movies and TV shows and creators. So I thought it would be fun to go through a little bit of a media wrap up. I am like just randomly decided to do this, so it's not going to be the most fleshed out thing. I did start out the month becoming absolutely obsessed with Carter Sullivan. I have followed her for years, honestly, but she was just one of those creators that like I would watch her videos like here and there. I literally binge watched probably an entire year worth of her content this month. Every single night I put on a Carter Sullivan video before I went to bed. I'm not even kidding. I was so obsessed with them. I think that her and I are just in very, I don't want to say similar stages of life, but like she is kind of like what I want to like emulate. Like we just have a lot in common. She works in healthcare, in kind of like the corporate side of healthcare, but she wants to go back to nursing school. She also has a fixer-upper house, which I think is one of the biggest reasons why I'm obsessed with her, because I just feel like not that many people that I follow, I don't like follow a ton of like house content, but she really just like integrates everything into her lifestyle content, which I love. So I love her house content, I love her book content, I love her thrifting content. Like she is just impeccable. I absolutely love Carter Sullivan. If you are not following her, go give her a follow. Her videos are literally amazing. Most recently, within the past couple of days, the other YouTube that I've been binging is like 2-year-old Destiny Sidwell videos. All of her like absolutely insane reading challenges where she would read. Like this girl, she used to pump out the craziest YouTube reading vlogs where she would literally read for 24 hours straight. Like literally read like 8 books. She reads so fast. I think she did a 48-hour readathon. She's done like multiple books, and like iconic reading vlogs, you guys, iconic reading vlogs. And I honestly just like wanted to mention that little tidbit because she always watches old Vlogmas during Christmas, so I thought it was kind of like fitting that her older videos give me a ton of comfort because like she watches old videos for comfort, which I think is so funny. TikTok, I feel like another thing for February that I didn't mention, I would really love to reduce my TikTok time, and I would love to, honestly, I think I might like unfollow a ton of people that I follow on TikTok and just go through my following page then, because I noticed that I do enjoy TikTok a lot better when I get on and search for creators, and the people that I usually do search for are Kennedy. I always want to say Kennedy Craddock, who I also love, but Kennedy, she used to do nursing school days in my life. I absolutely love her. I love Emily Kaiser, and I love I think her name is Janine. So if it's not Janine, it's close. I know it's a J name. Those 3 I feel like are my go-to 3 if I want to watch a couple TikToks and then just get off the app. I feel like I quickly search for them, but they're all really popular creators, so I'm sure I didn't like point out anyone that you haven't heard before. And then TV shows, like I said, we all started the year with Stranger Things. I really don't even have like a solidified opinion on that, if I'm going to be totally honest. I will say that like I am a Byler stan 100%, and I totally get why they didn't do Byler. I think that it would have been, I mean, I don't know, with the ending, they could have done Byler. If they were gonna give us that ending, we could have had Byler if we weren't gonna have, obviously. I get why they didn't do Byler, but I don't understand why no one told Finn Wolfhard, buddy, you gotta diet down. Because if you watch that show, not having the context from, or that season, not having the context from all of the other seasons, knowing that Will is in love with Mike, but Mike is not reciprocating those feelings, it feels the other way around. The way that Mike looks at Will in some of the scenes, I'm sorry, he never looked at 11 like that. Like, someone should have told him, buddy, your acting is amazing, but this isn't what we want to get to. Like, we don't want more people shipping Byler because we're not doing it. Like, I wish they would have, it almost kind of felt like they did it on purpose a little bit. Like, he literally seems like enthralled with Will. When the edits on TikTok, if you didn't watch the show, I think that I would think that Mike was Will and Will was Mike, and Mike was the one in love with someone who wasn't reciprocating, because he looks so in love with Will. But anyway, so Stranger Things, obviously, and then me and Logan actually started watching Yellowstone. We've been trying to spend more time together, and now that I don't have to get up at the butt crack of dawn at 4 o'clock, I've been staying up a little bit later, so when he comes home from work, we'll watch a show. And we've been watching Yellowstone, and honestly, you guys, like, if he didn't want to continue it, I don't think I would. I don't know how so many men go on and on about that show and think that they're not watching a soap opera. When I tell you, like, if you have not watched Yellowstone, something batshit, for lack of a better word, happens in every single episode. I forget what episode we're on. We're probably very, very close to finishing season 1. I was like, Logan, I have to take a break. I cannot watch one more episode where, like, just the wildest stuff is happening. To take a break from Yellowstone, we watched the 2nd season of The Wizarding World of Baking, which, listen guys, that show is cheesy and there's maybe one too many Harry Potter references in it, but the end of those episodes, when they actually do go through their cake displays and stuff and like the tasting elements, is so entertaining. And the cakes are literally amazing. We just finished that the other day, and the team that we wanted to win, we've been rooting for them for the entire season. They won. I could have cried. Literally could have cried. What I've been watching for background noise, if I'm like editing or something, is The Lying Game. They just put it on Netflix. I have not watched this show since probably like 2014 or 2015, like a long time ago. It slaps, you guys. It slaps. Like, it has vibes of Pretty Little Liars, The OC, and TVD. I feel like the characters are very TVD-esque. Like, there's a Caroline, there's an Elena, there's Catherine, but like the weather, very OC, and then the mystery, very PLL. If you like want an old good show vibe, highly recommend watching The Lying Game. And then last night, I binge watched all of Bridgerton. I got 4 hours of sleep last night because I was binge watching Bridgerton, and I am trying to talk fast because my battery's blinking at me. But when I tell you guys, I loved this season so much. I cannot believe that I have to wait 4 weeks for any more episodes. I was foaming at the mouth. I love Bridgerton. That was my favorite Bridgerton book. I've read all the Bridgerton books. I did not like last season, and they are making up for it this season. I will say, if one of the things you didn't like about last season was how little Penelope and Colin we got for them being the main couple, give this season a try, because it is heavy on Sophie and Benedict. They are doing it so well. They are doing the book so much justice. I'm probably going to rewatch it tonight. But that's my little media recap. My battery is going to die, so I have to go. Alright, you guys, it is time for me to sit down and do my budget for the month. This is something I used to do all the time, and it's something I really wanted to implement in 2026, just because I feel like I really fell off of it, and it is so much easier when you're stressed about money to not look at your spending and to just ignore. And I used to do that. I did that all pretty much through my entire nursing school. And I do not want to do that anymore. Me and Logan really want to get our debt paid off. We have my car payment, we both have private and public loans, and we have our mortgage. So our mortgage is obviously the bulk of it, and then we both have our student loans, but we don't have any consumer debt, which is amazing. So we don't have any credit card debt, but we do have our car. And unfortunately, we are probably going to have to get a new car here soon as well. So we will be adding a whole other car payment. And obviously, to pay off debt, you have to keep track of how much you're spending and how much you can put towards your debt. We're not really focusing on debt payoff right now necessarily. But once I start working, that is going to be a huge goal for us. Now that I haven't started my job yet, we're more just focusing on kind of reducing our spending, keeping an eye on our spending, and just trying to do our best, really. I have a super simple budget outlay. I'm not going to share it because one, it's literally so easy. Anyone could do it. And two, I know some people are comfortable sharing numbers on the internet. I just don't think that I am. And if you want to see that, I'm sure you can find many financial resets where they give actual numbers, but I'm not going to be giving actual numbers. I literally have this in an Excel sheet. The rows are the categories of spending and the categories of income, and the columns are months. So it's really easy. It literally took me like 10 minutes to put together, not even. So we have all of our fixed expenses in first that all get automatically taken out. And then we have our expenses that change month to month. So we have childcare on here. We pretty much outlaid this so we could use it for the rest of the year, even though some of these expenses we don't currently have. So like, we have Logan's car payment on here and like my student loan payment and childcare on here, even though we're not paying for those things yet, just to remind us that they're up and coming. I'm currently having a pomegranate blueberry V8 energy. These are literally amazing. I love these things. For our fixed expensive categories, we have mortgage, car payment, insurance, student loans, pet expenses, which is just an automatic. We order all of their stuff automatically. That's why it's on our fixed expenses, our pet insurance, our Wi-Fi. Then, like I said, my loans, even though we're not currently paying them. Logan's car payment, even though we're not paying them. All of our subscriptions, so like Netflix, our Spotify, any like subscriptions that like Logan has for like gaming, anything like that. I know I have more subscriptions, I just can't think of any of them. Peacock, stuff like that. Our gym membership, our oil, and then our dental and vision insurance. And then for the expenses that kind of ebb and flow, we have childcare, even though we're not paying for it right now, water, electric, our groceries / household restocks. That is one category for us because I don't want to have to go through a receipt and like pick things out. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. That's too much work. So groceries and household restocks, gas, any home repairs, and then I have spending money / gifts. I like to put / gifts because I feel like me and Logan are in a season. We have lots of nieces and nephews to buy for. We have a lot of like bridal showers, baby showers, stuff like that. And then we have eating out, anything for the baby, and then a category that I call miscellaneous necessities, which is basically just things that maybe come up that month that you don't typically have. So like we had to renew our car titles this month, which was like $45, and then I paid like $100 for new contacts. Those to me are both necessities. I need contacts to see. We need to renew our car titles, but they don't really fit into another category, and that would have been like over $150 that I would have been like, where did we spend this money? So I feel like miscellaneous necessities is a nice little category to add on. And then I just do like the automatic like equations that Excel will do for you to put up like our grand spending total, how much we have left over, and then I have below what our savings, like what our leftover money goes into. Obviously, just form these to you, what like works for you and your family. I do think it's kind of nice to see what other categories, like what categories other people do, to kind of just like give you an idea and get you started. Sometimes I'll literally Google like budget templates just to see like what their categories are. So I like, you know, like, so you don't forget anything or so you don't overcomplicate it or oversimplify it. But I'm telling you guys, this literally took me 10 minutes to put together, and it did not take me more than 10 minutes to insert everything for the entire month. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend that you track your spending and that you know how much you're spending on groceries every month, know how much you're spending on like takeout every month, whatever is like a big cost to you. Takeout used to be a huge cost for me and Logan, and like we did great this month, and I would have had no idea that we did so well this month if I wouldn't have kept track of it. So it's really something I recommend that you do. It's giving me a lot of peace of mind about our finances when I used to just have so much anxiety wrapped in our finances. Like I felt very anxious about our finances, and now it just like, it makes me feel like I have control over them, and I do. Like I have control over how much I'm spending, and I did not feel that way when I was not tracking. No one has like taught you finances. It can be so mind-boggling, like how to budget, how much you should be spending on groceries, how much like you can be spending on utilities. Like it can be so mind-boggling. Paying off debt can be so mind-boggling. I'm honestly really excited for me to start working so I can talk a little bit more about paying off our debt and like kind of our debt journey. So yeah, really, really quick and simple financial reset. The only other thing I wanted to say about like the financial reset for the month of February is, since we did have such a heavy spending month in January, I do feel like it's going to make me a lot more mindful to spend less this month. However, it is our baby shower this month, so I do know that like I'm gonna be spending money on flowers for that, and like floral foam and decorations. Like there's still last minute things that I need to get for that. Since our shower is this month, we're gonna see everything that we still need or still want, and I know that we'll probably have like a Target order or an Amazon order, or there might be like things that bigger purchases or things that add up that we still need. So I think it's like also important to like look towards the upcoming month, kind of anticipate those expenses that you don't have every month, so you know like you didn't fail at your financial goals for that month. Like they were like, you knew you were gonna have them, kind of thing. So like I'm trying to mentally prepare to like spend a little extra on this month, like in the baby category. So I just think it's important to like keep in mind maybe expenses you're gonna have that month that aren't reoccurring. Anyway, I think we need to end the financial segment of this because I have been yapping and yapping and yapping. I told you guys at the beginning of the video, I like to yap.